All right, we're recording.
Good to go?
Yep.
All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about promoters and customers and like how to talk to them, how to market towards them, all that good stuff. So first, I'm going to talk about customers, and then Felicia is a rock star at promoters, so she's going to cover that section. So I have my little notes here, so I can stay on track. So the biggest way to market towards customers is to share your experience. I mean, I know we always say to be a product of the product, but I mean, for other people. And the biggest way, like say if you're stuck on making a post and you just don't know what you're doing, well, not you don't know what you're doing, but you just don't know what to say. Sometimes I will scroll through my newsfeed, and how many of us have seen someone talking about how tired they are, or how they don't have any energy, or how they're so stressed out, or the kids make them want to pull their hair out. Like, I'll find posts like that and save them like in my head and be like, okay, so later I'm gonna make a post about how I haven't had migraines in the last 8 months since I started Thrive. Now that person, and I'll interact with the person that said that they had a headache. I'll interact with them for, the rest of the day until I make that next post. But that way I know for sure I'm going to pop up in their timeline talking about how I haven't had migraines in 8 months. They're going to see that and be like, I was just talking about having a headache today. She has got to be in my head. Like, I need to talk to this girl. So that's the main thing I've done. And I do the same for like any other issue that I can relate to. So like if you have kids and they drive you insane, and then you see another mom talking about how, her kids are driving you insane, later on in the day, you can interact with her for the day, and then later on post about how your black label saved your kids' lives or something like that. So then when it comes to talking to them, so that person with the headache will see my posts, and they'll comment on there saying, what is it? Or like, I need this in my life or whatever. Do not, please, do not have the conversation on that post. Always say, I'll message you here in a second. I tell people that I'm going to message them here in a few, just because my life is so sporadic that sometimes I see it and I can't respond to them right then and there. So I usually say, I'll message you here in a few, and then when I can get to them, I'll message them. And I always say, I always say, have you heard of Thrive? Because, at this point, network marketing is so big and MLMs are so big, you never know what company they've heard of, what company they haven't heard of. So I would say, have you heard of Thrive? Since we mainly do our 3 steps, and those are the Thrive products. If they say yes, then I just go ahead and say, okay, well, that's what this is. And if they say no, I've gotten it to the point where I've worded it differently. Just because there are so many health and wellness companies out there, that's kind of the canned response. I'm with a health and wellness company. That's going to shut people away before they even hear what your products are. So, Thrive is a nutritional company that focuses on your body specifically and what it needs. Now they heard nutritional. A lot of people these days are getting into all the nutrients and like supplements and stuff like that. We're living in a world that's very quickly noticing how bad it is to be unhealthy. How many vegans do we have? Vegetarians, keto diets, like people are starting to focus on that thing. But when they hear health and wellness, they think of those canned responses and those cold messages. So that's why I kind of switch it up and say I'm with a nutritional company. And it sounds a little more professional because there's like nutritional therapists and whatnot out there. So like, it sounds like you know what you're doing even if you don't. And then I ask them, what piqued your interest in my post? Because let's be honest, sometimes we'll put like 2 or 3 different things in our post. and you don't really know, or sometimes you may not know what post they saw, because I mean, how many of us see posts that were 4 days ago? So you never know what posts they're talking about. So I usually try to ask them, what piqued your interest? Like, what about my post piqued your interest? And then you get them talking about themselves. Then that's when they say, oh, well, I don't know if you saw it, but earlier I was talking about how I have this big old headache. And, you just said that you haven't had a migraine in 8 months. Like, what are you doing? And then I go into the product. But with the product, I don't say, oh, it's step 1, step 2, step 3. I've found different ways of wording things. And if you need help, feel free to message me later. I'm gonna try to zoom through this a little bit since I'm at my friend's house. I haven't seen them in like 7 years. So you get them talking about them, and so not necessarily learn every little thing about the products, but like I was talking to a lady at the racetrack the other day, and she had seen my black label, and we just and I mean, obviously you can't tell what someone's going through from the outside. I had no idea she had some sort of like lymphoma thing, I think it's called. She has something wrong with her lymph nodes, and she has to stay active in order to keep it at bay. But she also had a surgery that made her stomach like super small. And she has little to no digestive enzymes in her stomach. So pretty much everything that she eats, if it's solid, it sits in her stomach like a rock, and her stomach's only this big. So like steak and potatoes are not for her. So, over the course of chatting with her, I'm learning all of this about her. And I know in our shakes, we have the probiotics, prebiotics, antioxidants, and digestive enzymes. When I told her that, you guys, she looked at me like I was handing her gold. She looked at me like I had just answered every single prayer that she had. So it's just knowing the small things about your products and getting your potentials to talk about themselves and let you know, like I said, I usually ask them what piqued their interest. That could be open for anything, but they're going to tell you what they want at the end of the day. Like, that's not going to leave any room for them to say anything else. They're going to tell you exactly what you want. So it's just about playing with the conversation, playing with the words, and being in control of the conversation the entire time, but making them feel in control of the conversation. So it's really just down to knowing the basics of the products. I don't necessarily know exactly what every ingredient in our products do, but I do know, for like I said, for that lady, like she said that her body doesn't have digestive enzymes. Our shake does. Like our shake can do that for you. I also know that our shakes or our capsules are capsules that you can break apart. They're not just pills. She can't digest pills because it would just sit in her stomach like a rock. So I told her, we have capsules, but you can break them apart, put them in a shot of water, and then just down it. So like, it's just knowing the small things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's knowing the small things and getting your potential to talk about them, let you know what they want, and then you can line everything else up. I mean, our products are pretty much for anyone and everyone. I mean, we all know they go with your body's specific needs, but like with that lady, like I truly feel like I'm helping her. It's not like I was just trying to sell her my product. Like, you have to somewhat invest yourself into their health, into their wants, into their needs, because they're not just a number. They're not just a box. And you can't talk to them like they are. You have to talk to them like they're a human being. And you have to, at the end of the day, like, almost assume the sale, And with my customers, I always let them know that, you know, their time and their money is super important to me. So I always say, always, instead of, man, I need water. um, Instead of you buying a full month's supply right now, I don't want you to order. I want you to try a 3-day experience. That way we can see if this is fit for you. That right there will give you so much respect from their end, because they're not like, okay, so she just wants me to drop $150. No. Instead, you know, you're saying, hey, you know, I know it's $150, but I want you to spend, I sell mine for 30. I don't know what you guys sell yours for, but I sell my samples for 30. Hey, I want you to try the $30 sample, and if it doesn't work for you, we don't have to order. But if it does work for you, then we can go ahead and get your order in. That way you don't have to miss a day. And then that gets them thinking, especially the first day that they try the sample, they're like, I don't want to go a day without this. So as soon as they get that package and they message you, letting you know, then you can start talking to them every day about how they feel. And usually the second day, I'm like, okay, well, if you want to, we can go ahead and get your order in. You may be a day without it, but then you'll be right back to where you need to be. And sampling is key when it comes to customers, you guys. And that's why I never have anyone order unless they're like super gung ho and they're ready for it. But again, that's where you need to have the conversation and feel them out. And that's where learning about products. Yeah, that's about all I have. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. I've got a couple minutes. I can answer some questions if you have them. If not, then I'll just throw it back over to Felicia. Sorry, y'all. I should have brought my water in here with me. Are we good?
Does anybody else have any questions?
All right. Well, if we're gonna go ahead and hop off here, Felicia, I'll catch your half tomorrow.
All right.
And I will look forward to hearing from y'all. Bye, guys.
Bye, sweetheart.
When you can't leave. Okay, here, I got it.
Did she figure it out? Did you get off? This is weird. Why is it doing that? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. It's like frozen on my screen of like Christine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay. So I'm going to talk about promoters. It is like my favorite thing to talk about because for some reason, I don't know, I really enjoy talking about the business. So I feel like when I have conversations with potentials, like I just run through it like crazy. So I know a lot of you struggle with promoters, you know, signing promoters or like how you should talk to them, how to bring up the business. And one of my biggest like things that really have helped me is like our stories. So like I'll make a story and it'll say like full-time work at home mom, no website fees, no cold messaging, you know, are you ready to have your life change forever? And I'll just do a poll. And a lot of that's how I find so many of my potentials. And I may not message them immediately because I don't want to be like, oh, you voted on my poll. Like, let me sign you up right now. I'll interact with them a lot. You know, I'll go on their page, I'll look at their pictures, I'll comment. And it just starts building that relationship. And let me see, let me look at my notes. It's, And also I wanted to talk to you guys. I know I tagged some of you in that video that I watched with Courtney Glasser. I think that's how you say her last name. But she was talking about do's and don'ts with promoters. And she said something that kind of stuck with me because I was like, you know, like different teams run their businesses differently. And we've always been like, no free promoter accounts, no free promoter accounts, no free promoter accounts. Now, I still am very adamant about don't go on your page and post, it's completely free to join my team right now. Like that just sounds horrible. It sounds very salesy, like join me, join me, join me. You still need to be making posts that are relatable to people, that share your story, that make people feel something, that have emotion in it. So what I've started doing is when I start talking to potentials about, if somebody's asked me like, what do you do? Or how do you do what you do? And I start telling them and talking to them about social media. When they ask me, how much is it to join? How much is it to be a promoter? I tell them it's free to be a promoter, but we want to invest in your health. So what are some health goals that you are wanting to accomplish? Because it's going to be hard to promote this business if you're not using the products. So let's go ahead and get you on your account. I'll send you over your link, and then we'll take a look at these packages together and see what would better fit you. Now, the reason why I wanted to share this with you guys, because it's a matter of how you're changing your wording. Like if somebody asks you, hey, how much is it to join? How much is it to be a promoter? And you're like, well, we have a $100 pack, a $200 pack, $400 pack, $800 pack. What do you want? You know, then it's just kind of like, it's very overwhelming. It's just like, okay, this is just about me purchasing something for her. I'm not talking about what her goals are. I'm not talking about what she wants to accomplish, what she wants to feel, what, you know, what goals she has, what weight loss, you know, goals she has. Like, I'm not talking about anything about her. So when you change it up and you're like, hey, let's invest in your health, this is just going to help you grow exponentially in your business. And you start talking about like, what do they want? Make it about them. And that's what I always try to do, is make it about them, what their goals are. Because I mean, you need to know, in order to be a leader and to coach these people to success, you need to know what their why is. You need to know, do they want to make $100 a month, or do they want to make $1,000 a month? And so if you reword it to making it all about them and finding out what their goals are. Do they want to make 100? Do they want to make 1,000 in a month? Do they want to go on vacations? Do they want to retire themselves? Do they want to retire their husband? Or is this just a side gig? You need to know this information to be able to train them and coach them to their needs, not your needs, but their needs. And when you make it about them and you're talking about them and what they want, that kind of just clings them onto it, because they're like, oh my gosh, she is listening to everything I want to do. She's telling me, you know, how I can get this done, how I can make this much money. And so, you know, and be relatable. Something else is when you get those objections, you need to address those objections. So like if somebody's like, I just don't have the time to run a side business. Like I'm a full-time mom, I have 4 kids, I have, you know, 2 jobs, or, you know, whatever it is, let them know that you understand that. I'm always like, girl, I completely understand. Like I have 4 kids, I have 2 dogs, like my house is chaos, like to the full extent. But if you can just give me 10, 15 minutes every single day, I promise you, you won't regret it. You know, so you're addressing what they're scared of and then giving them a solution. Like, okay, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of time, but she's saying if I can just give her 15, 20 minutes in a day, that I can make this work. I watched the live that Ashley Casey did today with one of our new 12Ks, and she was talking about like, I work 50, 60 hours a week, but I literally run my business off of an hour a day. And she's a 12K leader. that's crazy. So you don't need a lot of time, but being able to address that for somebody who is maybe a little skeptic and maybe a little scared to get started, you know, can maybe ease their mind a little bit. If they're worried about the money, you know, you can talk to them. I totally get it. I spent the last $100 of my account, but I needed something to work. I needed it to change. I invested $100 into my health and myself, and I reached VIP 1600 and earned a $1,300 check. Let me show you how to do that, because I know $1,300 within a 14-day period is going to change your freaking mind. You know, it's going to change your life. It's going to be amazing. So you really want to like address their objections. And I'm really big with voice messages. And I say this, and I know it's scary for some people. Some people don't like to go live, but voice messages are a game changer. When these people can hear your excitement, your passion, your love for what you do, it's completely different rather than sending them a text message being like, hey, I love this company so much. This is what the company has done for me. But when they hear that, and I also feel like when you do voice message, word vomiting isn't a big deal because they're hearing you. They hear your passion. So like, I'm a huge word vomiter, but I get on voice messages and I'm like, I'm talking, I'm like, I know I'm telling you a lot of information. I'm just super excited. I love what I do. It's a huge passion of mine. You know, don't mind my dogs barking in the background. Like, my house is just a mess 24/7. And they get to feel that like you're a real person and that you have like a million other things going on and you're still running a business. And so then it becomes attainable for them to do. Like, okay, maybe I can do this. I have kids screaming in the background, but I hear her kids in the background and the dog's barking, and she's still able to communicate with me in a way that would be maybe a little bit harder for somebody to shoot out like a long ass text message. And as far as adding people, I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but I do add other network marketers. I don't do it every day, but if I see somebody that I think is cute or I like her vibe or her positivity, I will add her and I will be very interactive with her. And I tell you this because you never know what somebody's going through. You know, it may look like all roses and butterflies and rainbows on their page, but you also have to remember Katie Panetta was a double diamond and she left. Okay. One of my good friends that is now with Thrive, she was a double diamond, or she was a triple diamond with It Works, and she left. She wasn't happy. There's lots and lots of people that are very, very unhappy, and they're looking for something. They're looking for that sign, that story that just like opens their mind, and you can interact with them and you can show them a different way. I'm totally going to shout out to Kat because Kat was one of my very first promoters, and she was with It Works. And and it was, our conversation started so silly. She posted a picture of a Little Mermaid coffee mug, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have your mug. Like, that's just the cutest thing ever. I'm obsessed with Little Mermaid. And it just started that conversation. And she was like, you're with Thrive, right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, you're with It Works, right? And she was like, yeah. And so she kind of started opening up about how she wasn't happy. And I was like, girl, I was there for, a year. Like, I know exactly how you feel. And it just opened that door. So you never know what people are going through, because her social media, I would have never guessed that she was unhappy, So be intentional with who you're adding. You don't want to mass add a whole bunch of different people, but just be intentional. See what people are doing. If they're very active on social media, you want to add them. If you add people who haven't posted in like 3 months, you're not going to get anything from them. They're just taking up a spot. That's why it's so important to like share your story on Facebook, share who you are. You don't want to make business posts after business posts after business posts after business posts. You got to show who you are, what you're passionate about. What do you love to do? Who are you outside of network marketing, outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife? or a girlfriend? Like, who are you outside of all that? You know, you can make silly posts, like be a real person. You don't want to go to if somebody goes to your page and all you have is business post, business post, business post, join my team, I love my company, join my team, I love my company. Like, people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, there's another network marketer. But like, if you go to my page, I talk about my kids and changing the Wi-Fi password. I talk about, you know, a show I'm binge watching, and crocheting is like my perfect date night. Like, don't be afraid to show who you are. People want to know that you're a real person. I mean, just because you do network marketing doesn't mean you don't enjoy TV. Just because you do network marketing doesn't mean you don't like to sit down and color, or it doesn't mean that you have bad days. You know, like, just show who you are, share your struggles, share you know, what you love, what you're passionate about. I talk about my epilepsy. Like, I totally, completely forgot that I ordered a bunch of shit on auto shipment, and I had like 4 freaking orders come through in like 3 days. And I now have like so much freaking product. It's insane. But I made a post and I was like, you know, epilepsy isn't always about like convulsing and dropping on the floor. Like, sometimes you forget shit. And now I have product to last me like 6 months. So, but like, you know, just share who you are and have fun with it, and, you know, be excited. Do interaction posts. Like I do, when I made that Wi-Fi password post, I had over 100 likes and I had like 60 comments, and I was like, what happened? Like, all I said was I changed the password, but I got so much interaction from that. People like to put their two cents in, put their opinion in. So like, I need a new show on Netflix. What's everybody watching now? You know, just be creative with it. Posting in your stories is huge, and being consistent. Now, if you are not consistent, you're not going to go anywhere. And I don't say this to be mean, but you have to be consistent in this game. You can't post one day, then go 4 days without posting at all, and then post one day, and then go a week without posting, and then post one day, and then be like, nobody wants to talk to me. Like, I can't, nobody's jumping, nobody's commenting. Well, yeah, sweetheart, because you're only open once a week. Like, nobody know, like, if you are going to change your life and you're going to invest in a business, are you going to sign with somebody who's there sometimes that you don't know what they're doing, or like, are they successful with their team? Like, are they working with their team, or do they have this like safe community where they can talk to everybody? They don't know anything. They're going to sign with somebody who's on it every single day, grinding and hustling, because they know that girl is going to have their back. They know that girl is going to train them and teach them everything they need, because they are grinding it every single day. And I know it's hard, and trust me, consistency does not come easy for me. I get a lot of people who are like, you're so consistent, Felicia, what do you do? It's not easy for me. I literally, like, I went and got me planners, notebooks, like, I write everything down. I have Post-it notes. Christine calls me the Post-it note queen. Anybody that talks to me or comments, it shows an interest, I write their name down. You know, anybody, I sign a customer, I write their name down. I sign a promoter, I write their name down. Zooms that come up, because I'm forgetful as shit. I just said my epilepsy, I have no memory power whatsoever. I write everything down. You know, and sometimes it just takes, like, if you're struggling, you don't hesitate to like put somebody in a 3-way chat if you're struggling to talk to your promoter, or like, you might just even have like a brain fart and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to respond to this. You know, put me in a 3-way chat. Christine, Rochelle, we've all been doing this for, you know, quite a long while. And, you know, we can help you with that kind of stuff. But if you don't send us your screenshots or ask us questions, like, we just don't know. There's so many of you now that it's impossible for us to reach out to each individual one of you every single day. And we do try our best. And another thing, self-development. I know I say this all the time, but you have to love yourself, and you have to be in a good place if you want to talk to somebody about changing their life. If you're not in a good place and you're not happy, or you aren't like madly in love with what you do, and you're frustrated, then it's going to be really hard to talk to somebody about their goals, their dreams, you know, how they're going to change their life, what you're going to do to help them. Because I don't know, like for me, if I'm not in a good place, like I don't care what your dreams are. Like I'm just being real. Like when I'm in a funk, I'm in a funk and I don't want to talk to anybody. But that's why self-development is so important. Every single day, I tell myself, I can do this. I'm worthy. I write my affirmations down. It's not that I don't get those negative thoughts in my head, because I know I struggle. I know lots of you have struggled or had bad days. But I'm telling you, I have a notebook, and every time I have a negative thought creep in my head, I open that notebook and I say, I'm worthy. My success is inevitable. I can do this. I had where'd it go? I'm 12K, I'm worthy, I'm kind of forgetting. I had a just tiny little lapse of where I was like, I'm never going to be 12K. And I wrote down, I can do this. And I am 12K. I am a leader that people look up to. And it's just about constantly putting that positivity into your brain, helps tremendously, because the better you are, the better mindset you're in, it's going to be easier to talk to people. It's going to be fun to talk to people because you're passionate and you love what you do and you want to share that with people. Where'd my notes go? Let's see. So be relatable, voice messages, three-way calls, you know, addressing their fears. And you can, don't be pushy. This is a huge one. I've dealt with this a few times with some new girls that no longer, you know, are a part of this. But if you're talking to somebody about the business or even the products, I mean, even like a potential customer, and they're like, thank you, let me think about it, let me talk to my husband, don't be pushy. Like, don't jump in their inbox like 2 seconds later and be like, do you have any questions? Are you ready? You want to join? That completely turns people off. I'm just going to be 100% real. I would get offended if somebody was like, so you ready? You want to join? Like, give me some time to process the information. I promise you, I don't chase after anybody. I do not chase after anybody. My job is to give them that information, educate them, give them all the information that they need to make a good decision. It's up to them to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I want to go. Now it's fine to like keep them in your mind, interact on their page, you know, and if the conversation has fallen off, I'll go in their inbox and I'll be like, hey babe, I know you were struggling. Like, are you doing okay? What's going on? I had a girl, she asked me about more information. And I was like, let me get you on the phone. It'll just be easier. And she was like, oh, well, my baby just woke up. And she just kind of fell off. So I shoot her a message like a day later. And I was like, hey, babe, were you still wanting information? Is everything okay? And she was like, we just had a death in the family. I'm still very interested, but I need a few days to work some stuff out. I was like, I completely understand. And then from that point, I was just like, I just want you to know you're in my prayers. I've been thinking about you. I hope you and your family is okay. I have not brought up the business again. And she messaged me today and she was like, hey, message me in a few days so we can schedule a phone call. You don't have to be pushy. People who are going to be worth something on your team will reach out to you and be like, hey, I'm interested. I'm ready. Let's do this. Do you guys have any specific questions about promoters or signing promoters? Any questions whatsoever? Does anybody have any questions? Or do you guys feel like I gave you some good tips? I don't know. Today's been a mess. I'll give it just a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions. I'll just sit here and look silly. Oh, thank you so much, Yanni. I absolutely adore you. You guys are doing amazing. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. And oh, I heard this quote that I wanted to share with you guys. It kind of just spoke to me. And I just want you guys to believe that you guys can do this. I know that we have hard times and rough days, but you guys are all worthy of greatness. I couldn't have asked for a better team than what we have. Like, you guys are all amazing. I love each and every one of you for different reasons. I mean, we've all come from like different backgrounds, and you know, we have different quirks and different personalities. But you guys all bring something incredibly unique to the team, and I absolutely love I love all of you guys. But let me share this quote with you, because I was like, wow, that is, oh Lord, I've wrote down so many notes today. It says, when anything is exposed by the light, it becomes visible. For anything that becomes visible is light. And that just, I kind of took that as like, when you're having a dark day and you feel invisible, or you feel like you're just blah, you know, you see a little piece of light. And for me, that's like watching a motivational video or something. And then that little piece of light somehow makes me visible, and now I'm a light for somebody else. You know, I don't know how you guys took it, but I just thought it was very, very positive. You know, even in your darkest days, you do have light in you. It's just a matter of like pushing that light out. You know, I've been struggling a lot this month, and you guys push me every day, and I absolutely love that. But just stay positive. Keep doing what you guys are doing. You know, planting seeds is just all part of this process. I'm reading this book called Cultivate right now, and it talks about that. It talks about how, you know, sometimes we want that instant gratification of just, we want it now, we want it now, we want it now. Why am I not a 200K leader now? Like, I want those big checks. I want to be home with my kids. I want to take vacations. But something worth that much is going to take a lot of work, you know. And to be honest, if it takes you 3 years to become a millionaire, is that going to be worth it for you? 3 years, that's not a long time. That's like a hop, skip, and a jump. In 3 years, my son will be 18. That is like so fast. So like, when you think about, gosh, like I've been in 2 months, like what's going on? Like, I'm not getting anywhere. Trust me, what you're doing is working. As long as you were talking to people every day, adding to your network, continuously growing, learning new things every day, you will succeed and you will get to where you want to be. So just trust in the process, believe in yourself, and know that you guys are all worthy, and I love all of you. So if there's if there's not any questions, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I got to get my kiddos to bed because they're in the kitchen eating up all my food. So, but I love you guys, and I hope you have a good evening.